Hi folks, back here with the South Point Coaches Show, the playoff edition, as we prepare for the first round as South Point, the 13th seed in the 2A West Regional, will be taking on Smoky Mountain High School coming up this Friday night. We'll tell you how you can tune in this week. And it is my esteemed privilege to bring to you Coach Phil Tate this evening. Coach, certainly a South Point legend here in the South Point area, Belmont, North Carolina. Thank you so much for your time this evening as we talk a little bit of playoff football here this week.
I don't know about being a legend. I'm maybe infamous, but maybe not a legend.
Well, Coach, I can promise you, your name is certainly revered in the area, and we appreciate you taking the time with us here this evening.
I appreciate that.
Coach, certainly first round of the playoffs coming up quickly upon us. There's got to be a thrill and an excitement just to get into the tournament. Those teams that have a chance to play in that first round, they've got to be going through a ton of emotions. Kind of describe for us what these players are going through and even what the coaches are going through as far as the thrill and the excitement of high school playoff football.
Well, this is why you start the season way back in May in spring ball, and this is what you're after, the playoffs. You get in the playoffs, anything can happen, and I think we've gradually gotten better. We've gotten more healthy, and the kids are excited. It's really always exciting to go on the road.
Sure.
I played golf Saturday down at River Hills, and I walked in the door in the afternoon, and my wife said, "Guess who we're playing?" And I said, "Honey, I don't have any idea." She said, "Smoky Mountain and Silva." Well, we went to school at Western Carolina, and I used to watch Silva Webster back when I was in college. Sure. They got a great tradition. So it's a little bit more exciting for us maybe than some other people, but the kids are excited, and they're ready to go. And we're going to find out what happens.
Well, certainly you have spent a ton of time in your life being around South Point football and being around playoff football. Is there ever a time that you've experienced where playoff football at the high school level sort of loses its luster, or is it always as exciting for you as it's been from day one?
Oh, no, this is what it's all about. I mean, you play, you try to get your kids to get better and better and better all year long and get more solid with their fundamentals and all. And it's a build-up. You look forward to the playoffs. That's why you play. If you went home after 10 or 11 games, I mean, if there weren't any playoffs, it'd be a little bit dry.
Sure.
But it's certainly not dry. You look forward to the playoffs, especially going on the road, a long trip up in the mountains, and it is an exciting time.
Certainly with playoffs, there's a suddenness to it. The thrill of winning a playoff game has got to be the highest of highs, but then losing a playoff game has to be one of the lowest of lows. And I would imagine that because of that, it creates a sort of added intensity during the week as far as practice is concerned. Is there an expansion on the preparation that is necessary? Does it intensify when you get into the playoffs? Kind of describe what that's like for both player and coach.
Well, the excitement is naturally going to be there, but what our staff, we're big on fundamentals. I mean, we're going to do our job, do it the best you can do it, and so we go back and all this week we're stressing fundamentals because fundamentals win ball games for you.
Sure.
And this excitement, you can't get too excited. But the truth of the matter is you either win or you go home. Right. So that in itself should excite you. And so I think our kids are going to do well tomorrow night. And we're playing a good football team. They're big, strong, physical, and we're at their place. They have a great tradition. We have a great tradition. So it's going to be fun.
Well, you created a really easy segue for me. We do want to talk about the opponent, Smoky Mountain High School. You talked about them being big and physical. What are some of the things that the folks that make the trip to Silva are going to see out of this Mustangs football team? And what are some of the things they're going to hear tomorrow night about this Mustangs football team during the broadcast?
They're huge offensive and defensive linemen. They're 6'5", 280 across the board on both sides of the ball. They're going to be a lot bigger than us, so we're counting on scheme and we're counting on quickness. So it's going to be a big, strong football team against a faster, smaller football team. So, and whoever makes the most important plays is going to win the ball game.
The pregame vibe, everybody going to make the trip up. They're going to eat the pregame meal. They're going to get into the locker room, put on the uniform. What are some of these players going to be experiencing around 6:45, 7 o'clock, roughly a half hour before kickoff, knowing that they're one win away from the next round of the playoffs or one round or one loss away from the end of their season.
Well, I think more than anything else is going to be butterflies. Even coaches, as old as I am, I still get the butterflies every Friday night, and next Friday, tomorrow night will be probably even worse. But the butterflies are going to get them. We try to keep them not to be too excited until the bell rings, and once the bell rings, the ball's kicked off or whatever, then those butterflies are gone. Now you're going to play the game, and you got to do your job. Everybody's got to do their jobs. You can't lose your mind. You can't lose your head. We don't need heroes. We need solid football players.
Final question here with Coach Phil Tate. I wanted to ask you, you got a 2+ hour bus ride up to Sylvan, North Carolina this week. You're on the bus. Kid comes up to you, says, "Coach, man, my gut is churning. I feel like my thoughts are racing. I feel like I'm going 100 miles an hour. Calm me down. Give me something that I can carry with me on this bus ride so I can actually make it to the game without losing my mind." What sort of words of wisdom would you have for those young players, knowing that some of them are about to enter into the largest stage that they've ever entered into?
Well, you need to tell them to sit there and think about whatever position you're playing and whatever technique or whatever gap you're supposed to, defensively, whatever gap you're supposed to play or whatever block, however you're supposed to read that block, and get that sort of thing on your mind. And all that jittering stuff will leave them for a while, of course, but it'll come back. It'll come back before the ball game. But they've got to keep their head. They've got to keep their wits about them. The kicking game is so important. A lot of games are given away in the kicking game. And so we got to be solid in the kicking game, but they have to understand that you play this game with your mind, and your eyes and your feet are going to do what your mind is on. So they have to do their job. They have to not get too high. Don't get too excited, because it's a football game, especially against this bunch. They're bigger, stronger than we are, but they're not quicker. So we have to play to our strength and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, Coach, it's certainly a pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you so much, and best of luck on Friday night as you guys take on Smoky Mountain.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I've been around this thing since '69, and we won 5 state championships, and who knows? Who knows? You never know.
That's the beauty of it.
And we got to win tomorrow night, and we'll see what happens after that.
Well, folks, don't forget, Friday night you can tune in to South Point Red Raiders pregame show starting at 7 o'clock for the 7:30 kickoff. You can catch us 3 different ways. You can find us on WCGC 1270 AM. You can find us on the CarolinaCatholicRadio.org website. And then, of course, if you've got your smartphone, all you've got to do is log on, get the CCRN app, the Carolina Catholic Radio Network app, where you can tune in to all the South Point action coming up on Friday night as the Red Raiders take on the Mustangs of Smoky Mountain High School. For Coach Phil Tate, this is Brian Rushing. Thank you so much for tuning in to the South Point Red Raiders Coaches Show.